Chris Lee and Blake Lovell here to preview Arkansas's matchup with Louisville in the Maui Invitational. Nick Smith has still yet to suit up for the Hogs. Louisville has lost its first 3 games in historic fashion. I think it's been since 1980 since a team has lost its first 3 games to open the season. None of these were exactly marquee games for the Cardinals. Tough start to Kenny Payne's career as Louisville's head coach. You can watch this one 5 Eastern on ESPN2. This one will be played in Hawaii, the Maui Invitational. And yeah, I think we were hoping for a little bit more from both these teams. We'd like to see Louisville be a little more competitive so far, A, and B, we'd like to see Nick Smith play for Arkansas because that is the guy that was maybe the best freshman coming into the league. And he's still yet to play a minute because what is it, a right knee injury, I believe?
I mean, it's going to be, I'm just, yeah. I mean, like I keep saying, and I know I'm like, Arkansas is good, but it's like I can't wait to kind of see him out there because it will be something that, will be a big part of, obviously talking about a guy that's just a tremendous player and is going to go on and have a great pro career. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one that, you look at going in, and obviously Louisville, I would say you couldn't have a worse start, but in a sense, I almost feel like it's the way you find a way to lose all these games by a point each. It's like it's about as brutal as it gets.
Including one to Bellarmine, which just became Division I not too many years ago, was in a tiny school in its own city.
Yeah, so it hadn't been a great start, and it's just, yeah. I mean, this is a team that doesn't have. And look, we knew this, right? Like, I don't think the expectation of Louisville was going to be very good this year. You knew that this was kind of a situation where Kenny Payne's taken over a project, to say the least, and they've got a lot to figure out now. I think, obviously, someone, Chris, we saw. Certainly quite a bit in the SEC. Brandon Huntley Hatfield, his season at Tennessee, he's there now. The other guys, it's just you're like, they're just not there yet. Let's just like this. It's easy as that. Like they're not where they want to be. And I think Arkansas is, the Muss Bus is gassed up. Although here's the problem, Chris. You do realize the issue here. This game is in Maui. So how do you get
you can't take a bus across the ocean?
It may be. Maybe this bus is the Muss Bus is so.
I mean, maybe
unique
it's been equipped with some James Bond type stuff, and it just. I mean, you can't rule that out.
We should ask. By the way, guys, we're having some fun here because, to be honest with you, you should probably know who we're going to pick in this game, and we'll talk about some storylines in a second. But there's something else, Chris, that I think we need to root for here. And I don't think this is going to happen, but here's what I just want from my Maui Invitational, okay? This is all I ask for every year from Maui. I mean, this is all I want. Like, that's all I want from Maui. I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but that's all I want from the Maui Invitational. Is Bill Walton. He loves Maui Jim. He's saying Maui Jim all the time. He loves Hawaii. He loves Maui. He loves to ride his bike in Maui. Can we just get this guy there? That's all I want.
That would explain why he's wearing sunglasses indoors.
Well, I love Bill Walton. Anyways, beside the point.
Bill Walton, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
I tweeted Bill Walton one time and told him I'd love to ride bikes with him in Nashville, and he responded and said, "I love Nashville. We'll ride when I come there." So I've never heard from Bill,
but happen.
I'd love to ride bikes with him.
I might have an avenue. Let's see what we can do.
Anyways, if you haven't tuned out yet, let's talk about this game. It is in Maui Jim. I mean,
off topic here.
Well, it's fine. Well, if you're tuning in and you don't realize that half the stuff we do is just trying to have fun and come up with different things. Because again, this would be different if this was 1980 something, but it's where Louisville's at right now that I think is part of the problem here. And
I wish it were 1980 something. It'd be more interesting than this one.
Well,
probably.
Arkansas has looked good so far. I know competition has been what it is, but I mean, there's been a lot of good things you've seen from Ricky Council, Trevon Brazil, like we said, a ton of upside. The freshman Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh, like, again, you see the upside is clearly there. And I think it is just, it's a neutral court game. You do have a Louisville team that's kind of backs against the wall right now in terms of how it started the season, wants to prove that it's much better than this. And so it makes for an interesting setup here, I think, going to Maui.
For Arkansas, are we presuming Nick Smith doesn't play? I mean, that seems a reasonable presumption at this point.
I feel like until we hear that he's playing, then I just think we just assume he's not. But
yeah,
either way, right? I think it's not the same as the Oscar Tshiebwe thing with Kentucky, but it is, it is going to be kind of entertaining to see what the rotations look like once he's back in there. Because again, he's someone that once he's fully healthy, he's going to play a lot. And but again, I think that's been part of the encouraging part of what Arkansas has done so far, because you have seen, and I'm going to pull up the numbers here. Council's obviously been a guy that's really played well, averaging 18.7 a game so far. Brazil's averaging 14 and 10, so a double-double.
Brazil had quite the night the other night too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, we said, I mean, I thought he was one of the best transfers out there just because of the upside that he brings. And we've seen so far, that upside, right? I mean, it's 6'10", and just having a guy like that has so many different things he can do. He can block shots, he can rebound, obviously he can score, makes threes. That's something else too, Chris. I think that kind of was underrated about him. He can make shots from outside. So I think that's something else to kind of look at with this team is you're starting to see a really good dynamic, I think, so far, just offensively with this group, because you do have, like I said, I think Davis is someone that just, he'll have to play a lot. We know what the upside is of an Anthony Black. I think Jordan Walsh has played pretty well so far too. And, all those different guys. So that's why I keep saying, when you get Nick Smith back, you're just adding another just tremendous talent to the mix. But this is a very versatile Arkansas team, and you're kind of seeing that they can do a lot of different things, I think, pretty well so far. Specifically, I would say this is still a defensive-minded team, because I think that's just kind of what he has. We know how his teams play. They're going to force turnovers. That's going to make their offense easier too. But I think there's a lot to like about what we've seen through 3 games.
What's interesting on the Louisville end of this, and again, Louisville has lost 3 games to, Bellarmine, Appalachian State,
and
Wright State. Okay. All at home, I think, too.
Yeah. Think about that.
I mean, look, Louisville was not expected to be very good. Our buddy Chris Dortch picked Louisville 14-15 in the ACC, so not as shocked that Louisville is not very good, but just to see that team lose 3 1-point games when you're a brand like Louisville, to lose them that way. And I think, by the way, the last game last year was a 1-point loss to Virginia. So that's 4 heartbreaking 1-point losses in a row. But any chance Louisville is competitive in this game, it just seems like the Cardinals are pretty outmanned here.
Here's the problem for Louisville, and if you've seen their games, you've seen how they've played out, it's very evident. Scoring is just like, it is trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube here or something. Like, it is just, how do they score? Because right now, think about this, Chris. Think about how many times you've seen this through 3 games. It's only 3 games, it's a small sample size, but they have 4 guys averaging double figures through 3 games. With the next closest guy is averaging 4 points. The next closest guy, 2.7. So, like, you have 4 guys. Huntley Hatfield at 10.3 points per game. Withers at 10.7 points per game. James at 11 points per game. And then, of course, Ellis at 24 points per game. Like, that's their punch right now. They need more. Like, they need
James
more.
Is a freshman, so – and Huntley Hatfield was not a guy at Tennessee. Like, he was that team's 7th or 8th scorer.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we know, like, Ellis has certainly had to pick up his scoring, because obviously a guy last year you could see he could score, but now it's clear on this team, like, he's gotta score a lot. And I think that's where, they've just got to to be able to find more of that consistency, I think, outside of those guys. And that's going to be the problem. Like you said, that's why they were picked where they were picked, is I just don't know if they're going to find that this season. And that's what we talk about in those kind of close games too. Think about a couple plays here or there, a couple other baskets from some other contributors, like you just can make such a big difference. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly been a frustrating part of this Louisville team. They've turned it over. I just don't think they have enough offensive consistency, again, outside of just a couple guys maybe. And so that's an issue. Defensively, I think if you're Arkansas, the good thing about this and what you've seen thus far is this isn't really a team that's forced a lot of turnovers. I mean, I don't know. Like if you're talking about like from a matchup standpoint, like where are the areas that Louisville could exploit, what Arkansas does? I'm going to be honest, Chris, on paper, there's not a lot of those areas that are just jumping out at anybody. And I think that's the thing here, is just trying to figure out what is Louisville's path to victory in a game like this. Because we always say these neutral court, I mean, look, Chaminade's won games. I'm not saying Louisville's Chaminade, right? But like these kind of games, like you go to Maui, very intimate setup. It's just kind of the atmosphere is great. And, there's a lot of crazy things can happen. Louisville's got some size, and I think that, they'll have to use that in this kind of game. But I don't like, I think until they can find more depth and more consistency, losing. I mean, look, here's the thing too, right? How different would the conversation we'd be having about Louisville right now if they won all three of those games by a point versus losing all three of those games by a point?
Wouldn't be a lot different. But
it wouldn't be a lot different. That's what I was going to say. Like you may think it would, but like I don't even think we're really having that much of a different conversation.
In the age of analytics, it's not a very different conversation.
And even if they win those games, let's say by single digits, is it really changing our opinion all that much? I think that's the thing. And you can play the what if, like we always say. But I don't know. This is, if you're a Louisville fan, like this is one of those games where I think you really want to see. I mean, do you have any sort of prospects for this season? Because a game like this, I think, can tell you a lot, because I do think this Arkansas team is very good. And I think the way they play defense for a team that has struggled to find offensive consistency like Louisville, outside of, less than a handful of guys, the way Arkansas defends, that is a bad formula, I think, for this Louisville team.
Okay. We don't have a line on this, I don't think, as we're doing this Friday morning. This game's Monday night, so we're way ahead of this. Ken Pom has got this as a 75-62 game in Arkansas's favor. Arkansas with an 88% chance to win. Bart Torvik, almost exactly the same thing, 88% chance to win. 74-62 in Louisville's favor. If you want to go to the decimal point, Arkansas is an 11.7 point favorite in that one. I can maybe try to find Jeff Sagarin and do the math on that as we're speaking. But look, I don't think there's a big mystery. Arkansas wins, and wins by double digits. I mean, because what else are you going to do here?
Yeah, I mean, if Arkansas defends the way they can defend, I just have a hard time seeing Louisville scoring a lot of points here.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how much Louisville can change from a week ago, from what we've seen through 3 games, and I think that's the problem. Yeah, I just think Arkansas has been the better team to this point, and I just think they do things that, especially on the defensive side, with how they play, with the style that we know they play, they have just defended. And look, competition matters, but they're still defending no matter who the competition is. And so I think, Chris, that's what I'm going to go with. But Chris, I will say this: I'm not going to make my official pick yet. I'm going to pick Arkansas for now, but I'm not going to make it official, and here's why: because I need to consult with someone first before I make this official. Okay. And I need to consult with someone before I do that. And so here's who it is. I've got to give this guy a call a little bit later on, and this is who I'm going to talk to before I officially make my pick. So you might want to hit that subscribe button, because we may have to do another video just with this. So here you go. This is the guy I've got to consult with before I've got to make a call to Big Bill and see what he is thinking about this game. So
what would we do if we had Big Bill on the show?
Oh my goodness, we would close down shop right afterwards, because it would be the greatest show ever. But no, I don't know if he's going to be there, but Bill Walton and Maui, that's always my favorite Maui memories each year.
He's got to be there. Come on.
I don't know.
You can't have Maui without Bill Walton.
Anyways, no, Arkansas should win this game. And yeah, there you go. Should be, we'll see if Nick Smith, like I said, we don't know as we're recording this, but I still think Arkansas, the way they play, they've been better. And their defense could cause some issues for this Louisville team.
One more small item before we end. A shout out to our sponsor, Stakes. Predict sports better than the crowd. For a chance to win NFTs with Stakes, players can submit their sports predictions against friends, other fans, and influencers forever. Don't let your sports genius go overlooked. Join Stakes and have the best predictions captured in the moment. Go to playwithstakes.com. That's STAKES/14. Use our invite code Southeastern14 for a double welcome bonus. Okay, I looked up Jeff Sagarin. It's got Arkansas winning this by 10 on a neutral floor. I think I would go Arkansas a little more than that, but anyway. Blake, gas up the Must Bus. Get your scuba gear for the Must Bus. Grab your Zero bars, grab your corn nuts, get ready for Monday night because, my man, it's going to be a good week of sports. You got basketball. You got rivalry week coming up next week. Guess who covers it all?
We do.
We do.
What about the Must Marine? No,
like the submarine.
Just we got to come up with something like for them to get across water. Let us know, Arkansas fans. We know plenty of you will be here. Give us a new name for the Must Bus that heads to Maui. So
yeah,
need a phrase to use. So
anyway, we will have everything you want if you're an SEC fan. We preview every SEC football game every week. Yes, we even previewed Austin being Alabama. We did video on that. We do reactions after games. We do rankings. We do all kinds of stuff. We do live streams. And we'll even do baseball when that's here. Already gearing up for that, if you can believe that or not. So anyway, best way to catch all our content, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon at Southeastern 14, presented by State.